Hey everyone, Dr. D here, and I know a lot of you are concerned about the coronavirus that has been in the news recently, so I wanted to speak to that a little bit and share with you what I know. Just a little bit of background about me. I have earned my PhD in genetics and development, and I've completed 2 postdoctoral research fellowships in the biomedical realm. And I currently teach biology and microbiology for a living. So I'm going to share with you my understanding of this virus and what to be thinking about. So coronavirus is not a new virus, believe it or not. It's not a new thing that's popped up and no one's heard of it before. Coronavirus has been around a long time. If you have heard about SARS in the past or MERS in the past, those are other strains of coronavirus, and this coronavirus is just a new strain. Just like you have to get a flu shot every year because there's new strains of the flu every year, this is a new strain of coronavirus, and it's actually less lethal but easier to spread than the other coronaviruses. Let me tell you, MERS, for example, had a 30 to 40% death rate. SARS had a 10% death rate. Coronavirus seems to spread a lot faster, but it has a luckily much lower death rate. Its death rate is about 2.3% by last estimates. So there's good news with the bad news. It spreads a lot faster, but it's much less deadly than the other coronaviruses that have been in the news in the last decade or so. What's different about this one? This one originated in Wuhan province in China, and it causes a disease that affects multiple organs, but mainly your lungs. It causes a type of pneumonia, which is basically inflammation and swelling in the lungs and fluid buildup in the lungs. And it causes a disease called coronavirus disease 2019. Okay, this is a new strain of the coronavirus, and it spreads rapidly. People can spread it, a couple days before they show symptoms, but that's not thought to be the main way it spreads. The main way it spreads is by people who are overtly sick, who have the frank illness. That means they are showing signs of this illness and they are coughing and sneezing. When you cough, you release a bunch of mist from your mouth, mist particles. These are called droplet nuclei. These are tiny little droplets of mist, smaller than like a drop of spit. I'm talking like a fine mist. And these droplet nuclei can harbor viruses. These droplet nuclei are so tiny that they could float around for days, sometimes multiple days. They float around without landing on anything. That's how tiny these droplet nuclei are. So when someone coughs, sneezes, and has this disease, and again, remember, it's a lung disease mainly, though it can affect multiple organs. You cough, then you exhale, you spread that germ around. And people usually become infected when they breathe in the virus, or let's say someone coughs and touches a surface. You could touch the same surface and then maybe touch your mouth, touch your eyes, something like that. Though fomites, which means surfaces, are not the main way it's known to spread. Its main way of transmission is by being really close contact with someone who has it, like someone living in close contact, being in close proximity with someone who's sneezing, someone who's coughing, and things like that. Okay, so what should you do? Again, it has a 2.3% mortality, but there's some good news. 4 out of 5 people, that's 80% of everyone who gets the virus, has very mild symptoms. So you could potentially have it, and there's an 80% chance that you won't feel all that bad at all. Now, in the 2.3% that do become sick enough to die, these tend to be on the older range, the young children, old seniors, people who have a compromised immune systems. And yes, it is dangerous because the flu has about a 0.1% lethality rate, right? So the common flu kills about 0.1% of people. This coronavirus, we're talking about 2.3% of people. So it's a little bit scarier. Sure, it is. And it's not to be taken lightly, but at the same time, you're most likely going to be fine. And there are things you can do to combat coronavirus. Let's talk about those things, okay? Washing your hands is super important. Washing your hands before you touch your mouth, before you touch your eyes, before you touch your face. Your hands are constantly coming in contact with things. You could be in close proximity with someone who's sick. That person coughs on their hand and shakes your hand, and you didn't even know they coughed into their hand beforehand. And you could pick up viruses that way. Do not make a habit of putting your hands in your mouth, putting your hands, rubbing your eyes. Wash your hands before you do any of that, especially before you eat. And by washing hands, I mean with soap and water for at least 15 seconds, minimum 15 seconds, if not longer. Longer would be preferable, but at least 15 seconds of washing hands with soap. And if soap is not available, let's say you're out and about, you could use a alcohol-based hand sanitizer with minimum of 60% alcohol in it. That works as well. You can disinfect surfaces with Lysol if you're concerned. And, you know, I've seen a lot of things in the news where people run out and buy masks, right? And there's people with masks running around. I do want to tell you that masks may not be all as effective as you might think. Let me put it this way. Masks are designed to keep out dust and, you know, particulates in the air. Big things like dust, right? Or sawdust. Let's say I'm cutting wood. I'm in the garage cutting wood, and there's sawdust going everywhere. I want to use one of these little white masks that everyone's wearing. But I want to tell you, like, let's say we could zoom in on the mask, zoom right in on that mask and take a look. If the little pores in the mask are about this big, well, dust is about this big. So yes, dust will be blocked by the mask. You see, the mask has pores this big. Dust is about that big. So yeah, it's, you know, those masks are pretty good at blocking dust and sawdust and such, but viruses piggybacking on these droplet nuclei I told you about, you know, these old dist particles from your mouth when you cough, they're so fine. I mean, it would be like this big, right? So one of these droplet nuclei harboring dozens, if not hundreds of viruses would be about that big compared to your mask's pores, which are about that big. This viral particle is going to go right through the mask and right down your respiratory tract. These masks are not designed to filter out particulates like droplet nuclei, like the size of viruses, right? So that's not to scare anybody, but at the same time, just be aware that, you know, by wearing a mask out in public, it's probably not doing all that much. The best way to stay safe is to, you know, keep vigilant, watch the news. If there's a community outbreak where you live, you know, follow their rules. If you, you know, are going to wash your hands, you know, make sure you wash it with soap and water for 15 seconds. Do not touch your face. You know, I was talking to a close friend of mine who is an immunologist, and she was saying that wearing a mask might only be good, for example, if you yourself are sick. First of all, if you're sick, wearing a mask would be good to prevent you from easily spreading those droplet nuclei to other people, that mist to other people if you cough or sneeze. So wearing a mask might be efficient or effective if you yourself are sick, but although if you yourself are sick, you should really be at home and self-quarantining and working with your doctor. What else? Oh, another reason why wearing a mask might kind of be okay, might kind of help you, is if you're someone who's in a big habit of biting their nails and it's almost subconscious, like you got to put your fingernails in your mouth and before you even know it, your fingers are in your mouth. Well, then wearing a mask might actually keep your hands out of your mouth. I could see that at being a good reason to wear a mask, I guess, but otherwise you really don't need these masks, okay? What else? Oh, this same immunologist friend I have is a colleague from back at graduate school who's an immunologist. She was saying that perhaps a flu shot would be good, not because the flu shot immunizes you against coronavirus, it doesn't, but the last thing you want is to come down with the regular seasonal flu, you know, influenza virus, and be fighting that off. You know, your immune system's trying to fight off the flu, and then you come down with something like a coronavirus, you know, because the coronavirus is very effective. The reason it's so effective against seniors and youngsters is because their immune systems are not robust, right? When you're young, your immune system's building. When you're a senior, your immune system might be in decline. So people with immune systems that are not robust may have the hardest time fighting off the virus. So you don't want to come down with, let's say, the seasonal flu just to get the coronavirus, because then it'll be like a 1-2 punch, and that might be pretty bad. So the thing you should not do is panic. The thing you should not do is run out and, you know, buy milk and bread and eggs and hoard them and be all scared and terrified and, you know, do anything irrational like that. The thing to do is just good hygiene. Talk to your doctor if you have any concerns or you become sick. Make sure you follow the news for any instructions that the news provides. Wash your hands. Washing your hands is very important. Also, if you yourself are sneezing or coughing, stay at home until you get well. Just call in sick. I think everyone will thank you for it. But if you do have to go out amongst people and you're coughing and sneezing, use good etiquette. Cough into your sleeve, you know. Excuse yourself. Try not to cough and sneeze in public. Conversely, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. Take care of each other. Don't panic. And I think we'll all be okay. All right. Well, I think I've said all that I can about coronavirus. I hope you're all staying safe and using good hand hygiene. And I'll catch you guys next time.